Hi, I wanted to walk through a couple of examples of some toolkits from previous students in EDAE 620, just to kind of hopefully help give you some more tangible examples of how to put this together. So these two toolkits that I'm going to walk you through, I also have links to those in class. So after we talk about these and I kind of show you a few things, you can go and explore them on your own. So this first toolkit I'm going to be having us look at is from a student who was in the military. He did training in the military, so that's kind of the focus of what he is doing. And what he has done in his toolkit is he has several different areas. I believe there's 4 different kind of big themes or topics that he explored. The first one being experiential learning, which you can see right here. So he started by giving an overview of experiential learning using some published resources on this, and then really quickly kind of summarizing the major principles incorporated into experiential learning. He then goes into sharing some specific resources and videos, and these ones are really oriented towards his area of learning and training in military contexts. And the videos you can see down here as well. And then this is where things really get interesting. This is where a toolkit becomes more than just a repository of resources and how it can be useful to your own context. So he talks about, in very brief terms, how to use experiential learning, and then he goes into very specific examples of when to use experiential learning in his context: field training exercises, military decision making, after action review. So he takes these things and then makes them real for his actual needs in adult education. Now, if you're in a situation where you don't have a specific context that you're working in right now, these can be a little bit more general in nature. You would still need to address those. Experiential learning could be really helpful to do X, Y, and Z. Then we continue down here, and you can see then he added the references that he happened to use that he talked about previously. I will be honest, I just noticed this. He should have referenced these videos and things as well. It looks like he just referenced things like the quote that he used up here. So there's one thing he should have done a little bit differently. So let's look at another one. So case study, this is also in the same student's portfolio. He went through a very, very similar process, an overview of it, a quick kind of rundown of the big ideas, some resources, and then again, specific ways to use it within his military training context. So yeah, so he has 4 different things, also movement and technology, so you can explore those a little bit more. Let me give you a different example here as well. So this is from a different student, and when you are going and looking at his, you'll look at this tab called Educational Toolkit, and then he has all 4 of his under that tab in this website. So let's look at the technology one. So the way he did this is he gave, again, an overview of what is technology in education, a real quick overview on its use and its effectiveness. And then he talked about some of his specific ways of and experiences of using technology in the classroom. So he goes through right here some of the narrative of that. And we're going to scoot over here. Let me move my screen here. So over here now we have, so he gave his examples from his own context, and then on the other side of the screen, he goes into some more specific ways that other people might be able to use this: presentations, professional development skills, things like that. And then he gives his resources. Again, he has some videos and whatnot. So this example is a little more broad in nature, whereas the first one had a very specific training context. This student chose to take his toolkit, and he's still looking at the context of it and the use of it and examples of it, but for not such a specific audience. Let's look at one other. So that was technology. Let's look at writing and reflection. Okay, so again, he uses a very similar format for this, and an overview of it, talking about his own experience with it. On this one, he was actually able to give some examples of ways that he has used this tool within his own endeavors. And then back onto this side. Sorry, it's kind of tough having the 2 columns here. And then again, some very specific ways to use writing and reflection in the classroom, and then a few resources. And then he ends up again, as everybody needs to do, with the references that have been used within here. So I hope that gives you a couple of ideas, a couple of examples of what toolkits might look like. The last thing I want to make sure that I note is these two toolkits are housed within these students' portfolios. Please, please, please note that your portfolios are not going to look like these ones if you start to dig into all of the different tabs. These are portfolios that these students worked on over the duration of their time within the adult education program, and they turned these in their last semester. So I just want to make that clear that your portfolios will not have anywhere this level of depth. Your toolkits, on the other hand, will have this level of depth. These are kind of, like I said, two good examples of the kind of content and ideas and things that you would want to make sure that you included in yours. But don't worry about all these other tabs with the home and the about me and the instructional design like the student happens to have. You will not have nearly that. As well, I'm encouraging you to have your toolkit as one of the tabs within your portfolio. If you don't think it fits there, you really don't want it, you have a different way you want to put this together, that's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be within your portfolio, but I think you'll find for a lot of you that it actually fits there pretty well. Okay, so there we go, a few examples, few ideas. Let me know what questions you have.